In this video, I'm going to show you how you can get started with Speedscale. When you first create your account, you can sign up for an account if you don't already have one. I have one, so I'm going to go ahead and log in with my Gmail user. So when you have a brand new account, there's no data yet in your environment. You'll see a little that shows you the different ways that you can get started and install. I'm using a Kubernetes environment. I'm actually using Minikube here. So I'm going to click this record from Minikube example. So right here on the screen, I've got some instructions that let me work with a couple different environments. I'm on a Mac, so I want to install the Speedscale Helm chart. And here is some helper instructions that will let me do that. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my terminal now, and I'm going to run these couple of commands in the terminal, and that will be the only things that we have to do there. Okay, now that I'm at my terminal and I'm connected to my Minikube, I can double check I'm connected to my Minikube by running kubectl get namespaces, and I can see I've got a couple of different namespaces and different apps loaded in here. Now I'm just going to paste in the commands that are from the Speedscale GUI. The first one will add the Speedscale repository to my Helm. So we use Helm 3. That's a prerequisite to doing this. Most of the Kubernetes installs that use Helm depend on Helm 3. And then there is one more command that is the Helm install command. And all I have to do is give it a cluster name. I'm going to call my cluster Minican. And this Helm chart install will install the control plane for Speedscale. So the kind of back-end infrastructure so that Speedscale GUI can talk to my Minikube cluster. All the communications is outbound. So there's nothing coming in from the internet, but instead it goes out and talks to Speedscale Cloud and says, hey, do you have something for me to do? You can check that it's installing by running git pods on the Speedscale namespace, which should have been created. And I can see there are a couple of Speedscale components in this Java server and Java client demo apps that get included with the install. Now we're done with the terminal. Now we can flip back to the. Now back in the Speedscale GUI, if you don't see your cluster show up right away, go ahead and hit the reload button, and you should see your cluster show up in the list here, and the version will be the version from the latest Helm chart because you just ran Helm repo update. That's it for the operator install. Now, if you want to put a sidecar on one of your workloads, you can see the workloads by checking the namespaces here, and you can see if you have different workloads installed in across your environment. In case you didn't have any workloads that you wanted to work with right away, we include one, which is this Java client and Java server, and they're installed in the Speedscale namespace. So just select the Java server here and say next. And there's some extra instructions if there is TLS encrypted traffic. This we're going to skip it for now and not try to decrypt anything. That will let us capture some inbound traffic that's being sent to this service. I mentioned that all the communications is outbound. So there's nothing from our GUI that's going and calling in, but the operator actually is phoning home to Speedscale Cloud and saying, do you have instructions for me? Do you have any instructions for me? And it'll get an instruction that says, hey, you need to install the sidecar on this workload called Java server that's running in the Speedscale namespace. When this is done successfully, you'll see green check marks across the board. And then you can get into the traffic viewer screen right here. Now, the first time that you install a new workload, there's a little initialization that happens. And so it can take a minute or two for data to arrive. At a glance here, the traffic viewer can show you calls that are being sent to your microservice. And if your service makes calls to backend systems, those will show up as well. This will refresh automatically. There's a little refresh setting here. So every 5 seconds, it was refreshing with traffic. And now we've got some data that showed up here. And at a glance, it's saying, hey, I can see that there's some inbound traffic that's being sent. If I scroll down here, I can see a couple of different calls and go ahead and open one of these. And here we can see there is a JSON request that gets sent to the Java server for the SpaceX launches. And here's exactly how the application responded. So it's pulling this data from a public API. So it's very simple, kind of basic application. You can see the code for this on GitHub. But the point is that by running one Helm install command and clicking through the GUI, you're easily able to get your first set of traffic being captured by Speedscale. Thank you very much.